Hello. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ana Elizabeth. Hello, if you're new here, if I look a little tired and like there's a mess in the back, it's because it's probably too late for me to be making this video, but my burning passion to be completely, as much as possible, be transparent and helpful and like talk about like law school and surviving it and all that stuff just inspired me to make this video, even though I should probably go to sleep instead. I ran into one of the 1Ls that I met this year earlier today, and the 1L was like asking me about like finals, specifically torts, and just, you know, what something I went through, something we all go through, freaking out a little bit about the upcoming final. We're still about a month out, but you know, I can see the panic. And I remember feeling the panic, and I still feel the panic about the classes that I take. It's just my panic is a little more subdued now because kicking and screaming and crying, I've like figured out what to do to study for finals, and it's just a matter of doing it, which is still a pain in the freaking butt, but it's a method to the madness, and I've sort of figured out what worked for me. And so I tried doing a finals prep vlog last year, but the vision that I had for it, I wasn't able to carry it out. So this is just going to be a talking video, and I'm just going to talk about like how I study for finals and sort of what I think is important. And obviously like people can do things differently, and it's all about what works for you as a person. But this is kind of what I think is important in regards to studying for finals, and like how I apply that into how I study for finals. So first of all, most final exams in law school are essay, and the final is like your entire grade. Some classes you have a midterm and it could be worth like 15 up to 30%, so very minimal. Like if you do well in the midterm, you could still fail. You can still fail the class for the final, but if you do bad in the midterm, you can still 100% pass the class because the final's worth the most. Some professors have been nicer in these last semesters, and there's like participation points, which wasn't something I was used to my 1L year. But so yeah, so that's kind of how it goes. Like and it's usually an essay. Some finals have multiple choice, depending on the professor, and also should depend on if that bar subject is usually on the multiple choice section of the bar or the essay portion of the bar. And most professors follow what the bar tends to be, so that'll sort of dictate what kind of final exam you have. Some professors throw in short answers in a final, but and so I've had like a pretty even spread of pure essay, some multiple choice and essay, some multiple choice, short answer, and essay, but never just multiple choice, definitely never just short answer. There's always some sort of essay involved. So main portion of like what I focus on when I study is essay writing, because most finals are essay, which comes to the next part, right? So most finals are essay, and at least my school, we use ExamSoft, which I know other law schools do use, and so it's typewritten. And so a lot of what I do is practicing essay writing, and essay writing timed, because not all law school courses are racehorse, and racehorse means that the exam is intended to not be able to be completed by most people. And like, so if you want to get like the A and like cali the class and get the top grade, like you need to just be able to finish in time. And like that is like the race horse aspect of an exam. It's just like, can you even get through everything, let alone do it correctly and do it well, but can you even finish the exam? So some of them are like made to be racehorse, and so that's why practicing timed is like a big thing for me for finals, because maybe not all exams are high race horse, but either way, I want to make sure that I am just like able to get in and get out and like hit all the analysis I'm supposed to be hitting and like move on. And like that's a big thing. There's no time for pauses during a final. So main practice is essay writing and timed, typed. That's like the biggest thing. As y'all may have seen from my previous video, I do start studying for finals a month out. Some folks start like during our reading period, which is like the week before finals start. I would panic if that was the case. Like for me personally, I need to start sooner. And the thing is, like for finals prep studying, for me that encompasses like just studying, right? It encompasses finishing my outline, memorizing rules, making rule statements so that it's easier for memorizing and easier for me to be able to just regurgitate a rule statement in an essay instead of like knowing that like negligence is duty, breach, causation, damages. I have a rule statement already written out saying like, you know, in order to meet the requirements of negligence, you need to be able to show duty, breach, causation, and the potential damages that a person might have. So like I already have that sentence formulated beforehand. So on an exam, when it's a negligence issue, I'm not sitting there thinking like, how should I write this? I know that these are the elements. What do I say? Like, no, I have a full sentence that I have already practiced writing a million times. So when I see negligence issue, it's just about like negligence, you need to do causation, damages, and like move on and like be able to have some time for thinking and doing analysis, which is what's like the new part, right? Like going into a final, you should like the rules and the issues shouldn't be new. They're not going to be new. You've been covering them in classes, and like studying, it's about being able to just slap those on the page and focus on what's new and like the facts and the analysis. So it's like literally the month before, at least half of the month before final start, I am focusing on finishing my outline, raising any questions that I have with the professor, with my tutors, with my peers, not peers, my friend Elisa, my study partner. Not everybody. I'm not welcoming anybody's opinion, just the people who matter: tutor, professor, and Elisa. And just making sure that I'm understanding concepts correctly. Anything that is confusing, I'm like kind of, you know, getting the quirks out, trying to understand, make sure that I don't have question marks during the finals period, because that's not when I want to be freaking out and like not know anything. And mind you, it has happened where I am still confused as heck with a concept the day before in a final, and it was the worst thing. But I try to avoid that by doing all these things well ahead of time, right? So like that's at least the first 2 months, half the month of the month before finals, is making sure that I'm understanding the concepts and that any questions that I have are getting answered. And then during that time, it's like transitioning into making rule statements. Flashcards for me are helpful for memorization. Also doing writing on the wall, which you all have seen. Writing out attack plans, and just so that like taking that like information, that chunky amount of stuff we spent all semester doing, and turning it into more smaller, more digestible parts for me, and just like making it more concise and being able to just pull it out like that on an exam. So it's like slowly turning it into something more and more small. It's kind of like how I see it. It was like we start with a 10-page outline, and then it's like a 3-page rule statements, and then I have my flashcards, and then I'm able to just like know the information a lot more concisely. And so that's started going like throughout the month, and like throughout this time I'm also starting to incorporate doing multiple choice if that's something the class is going to be using to test on the final, and definitely writing hypos. I feel like most professors give at least 1 or 2 hypos. Sometimes like we've had to like beg a professor like, please give us something to write, like please. And sometimes we've only had the 1, and like we just rewrite that over and over and over again, because it's about timing and it's about being able to again regurgitate those rules and just be able to like explain reasoning going throughout. So but ideally we usually have like way more, like more than enough, like more than we would really finish. And the goal is always to rewrite a hypo like at least 3 times, like get to the 3rd rewrite, because like again, it's just like practice. It's like being able to have an analysis flow and be able to explain yourself a lot more easier. And so that's kind of like the process that I start with, that I do the month before. And actual finals days, most of the time I only have like 2 or 3 days between exams. And so that's when we like focus on just that one class. Other than that, during this entire month prior to finals period, I am like every 3 days I'm switching classes that I'm focusing on. So right now I'm like, it's the second week of the month before finals. Classes I have right now are corporations, community property, and evidence. And we've already switched. We've already done all of them once. So we did already 3 days of community property, 3 days of corporation, and we're currently right now in our 3 days of evidence. And the way Elisa and I have done it is that we start studying in the order that the exams are going to be. So our first final is community property. So that's the class we started with, and started with outlining any questions that we have, trying to figure it out, troubleshoot, go to the professor. We haven't yet, but like that's kind of what we're doing. And working on flashcards. We did write a hypo for that. And then like we moved on. Now we did corporations again, starting with the outline. I did go to office hours already, asked any questions. We did like a practice write, and just like troubleshooting concepts. And then evidence, now we went back to our outline for evidence. We have flashcards. We worked on like putting things on our wall and like concept attack plans. And so that's kind of how we go, like class by class every 3 days, switching during that month before. And then when actual finals period starts, we only focus solely on that class, and it's writing. It's just writing. Like our outline should be done. We shouldn't have that many pressing questions, and we're definitely not making flashcards anymore. And we're not really doing that anymore, unless for me personally, sometimes I like to do that as a way to review if I haven't put it up on the wall. But I don't like to do that because mainly the focus should be writing or multiple choice or whatever the exam is going to be. And like we rewrite, like that's when we pair things together. If we don't have a lot of hypos or whatever, we try to make something 3 hours long, which is what the final is. And so we put different hypos together and we do them all at once. Or if the professor does give us a practice final exam or releases previous exams, then we do those. And that's kind of how we study. We do full 3-hour exams. Sometimes we've been crazy and done 2 in one day, or it's like at least 1, and then we review and then like go over concepts we have or questions we have of the essay, and then we do that again. And we do that literally every single day. The day before the exam, we try and like maybe not fully write, or like write earlier in the day so that we have like more of a break in the afternoon before our actual day of the exam. But we just try not to get cold feet. Like we want our brains warm. We want to have like gone over these things and like know them. So it's pretty freaking intense. But that is how I've learned to study for finals. It's what works for me. I'm not going to say I have straight A's, obviously. Some classes are harder for me than like others, and concepts are difficult sometimes, even though like I'm pretty mechanical with how I study for finals. It doesn't always mean that I'm getting an A. It just means that I'm passing. I pass all my classes. And I think it's because I've followed this sort of mechanical way of studying for an exam that I know works for me. And I definitely do have some A's under my belt. But it probably has to do more with my actual interest and love of the subject. But I've gotten some other really close ones that has just come down to literally a concept that I knew I had trouble with, and that I did struggle with the day of the exam, so I didn't get full points. And it's like, it's so close, I can taste it. But it's like, I know that this works. So we keep doing this, and I'm now in my 3L year, and it's worked. We sort of troubleshooted this our 1L year, Elisa and I, and we've stuck with it, and she's gotten more A's than I have. But it's been through this sort of method, tried and true, that we've done. So I hope this was a little bit helpful. I think it's definitely better than my previous video that I attempted. But I hope that my tiredness didn't come through the screen and that this made sense. Let me know if y'all have any questions, and good luck to all my 1L friends, everyone starting, and also 2Ls, because I remember that last year was freaking hell. So y'all got this. We got this. We're here. We're thriving, even though sometimes it doesn't feel like it, and we're gonna get through this. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye.